Hello and welcome. My name is Nick Love with Love Racing, and here we're at the Formula Vee at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and get straight to a hot lap. I'm going to go ahead and talk you guys through a first full speed lap, and then we'll go ahead and do a detailed turn-by-turn breakdown lap. As we head down to turn 1, we're going to track all the way left, right next to the wall, then we're going to lift right after the start-finish line. Go ahead and brake a little. You're going to want to turn in a little bit later than it feels like. You don't want to hug this corner too tight, else it's going to throw you into this pit wall. Turn 2 is a difficult corner. I don't really have a good reference here. You want to be all the way tracked right. You're going to lift, stay in third here, a little bit of brake, and then back on throttle right as you apex. As we go through, we're going to keep that steering angle, track all the way left here, go past that blue line, and then we're going to stay fully tracked left here. We're going to stay on throttle for the initial turn in, and then as we get to the middle of the corner, we're going to lift a little bit, just let the car kind of settle, and then get back on throttle at the inside corner. It's okay to use all of the track outside of the blue line. We're going to stay in third here for turn 5, just a little bit of a lift and back on throttle. We want to make sure we get to about mid-track before the next corner. We're going to track all the way to the right side of the track after turn 6, and then we're going to kind of ease back on the throttle for turn 7. We're going to stay about mid-track here for turn 8. We're going to turn in a little bit of brake, just a little bit of feathering of the throttle. Just be patient there. That's really the big thing. We're going to track all the way left, use all of that bumper, and then you can turn in. If you hit that bumper on the inside too hard, it's going to spin the car. You just want to touch it a little bit. Stay about all the way track left here. That allows you to brake in a straight line, and then you're just hugging this inside curb, back on throttle. This final corner, again, just be patient. Yeah, I turn in a little early here, and what you can see is I'm going to end up having to kind of feather the throttle a little bit longer. So I lost maybe a couple tenths there. And then the rest of this lap is just full speed, just small throttle movements. Just don't scrub any unnecessary speed, and then it's just straight to the finish line. All right, that was one really quick lap. Now we're going to go ahead and break it down turn by turn and look at some references. If you feel like these videos are making you guys faster, you think they're helping you guys out, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me kind of put forward more videos to help you guys. All right, as we head down to turn 1, our first priority is going to be to stick as close to the wall as we can. That's going to maximize our radius for the turn. We're going to go in from 4th down into 3rd, start braking right after the start-finish line. In the braking zone, we want to ramp quickly up to right before the front tires lock up, and then we want to hold that pressure until we've slowed enough. And then what we're going to do is, you see I'm starting to turn in here, and as we go through this corner here, I want to slowly ease off the brake pedal as I turn in. Well, that's called as trail braking, and that's going to help us rotate the car and get back on throttle sooner. It's really easy to get a cutting penalty on the inside of this corner, so just be really careful there. We're going to start tracking right to the right. Turn 2 is going to be a 90-degree left-hander. It's going to have tire barriers right at the apex and on the exit as well. There's not really any great braking references here. Typically, I look at the tires on the left as my reference. You might also be able to use the Bojangles logo on the right side of your track, and kind of your peripheral vision. That might help. I'm going to give it a really hard stamp on the brakes and then lift off pretty quickly because I want a little bit of rotation, and then back full throttle right as we pass the tires. Then we're going to hug this corner tight to the inside, use all the track. For turn 3, we don't actually need to pull it all the way down to the apex because we want to stay fully tracked left here and prepare for turn 4. I like to get off the throttle a little bit past the apex of turn 3, and then what I like to do is just keep a little bit of maintenance throttle and then kind of adjust the throttle as I'm going through this corner to make sure I'm lined up right where I am right now. We want to be really careful we don't hit the sausage curb on the inside of the corner, but we do want to be back to full throttle right as we pass that. Again, no real great turn-in reference here for turn 5. What I like to do is just lift, get the car to kind of settle and rotate, and back on throttle right as I get to the curbing. We don't want to track out all the way to the left. We don't want the car all the way on the blue curbing because we want to be able to get back over to the right about mid-track. Similar to turn 3 here, we really care about the exit to turn 7. So I hit the apex here, but because I've hit that apex, I can't track all the way up right here. So I have to cut that a little bit tighter. We lose a little bit of speed here and a little bit of exit speed, but that's okay. We don't want to track out all the way right here or all the way left. Just a slight dab of the brakes, staying in 3rd, and then we're going to get back on throttle right at the end of that curbing on the right. And if we get this right, we shouldn't have to track all the way left early. We can kind of carry this through, and then as we get closer to the corner, track all the way left, use all the bumper, and then watch this curbing on the inside. It's very rough there. It's going to spin the car. Coming up to turn 11, this is probably where I see the most people spin and crash. What they end up doing is they take a little bit wider line here, then they have to brake a little bit while they're turning, and what that does is just rotates the car, just because of the weight transfer and the engine being in the back of the Formula Vee. What I like to do is kind of keep the car somewhat tight to the inside, and then I can kind of brake more in a straight line. I lose a little bit of exit speed, but it's much more stable. I'm going to hug tight to the inside here, and then right at this orange cone, I'm going to get back on full throttle, use some of that curbing to kind of reduce the distance traveled, and then we're here to the final corner. We're going to start braking right at the beginning of the bumper on the left side of the track. We're going to stay fully track left here. Now, the tendency of most people, they're going to brake, and then they're going to try to turn in as early as possible. They're going to apex about here. What that's going to do is that's going to push you wide. As you can see here in this lap, I actually turned it a bit too early too, and what I have to do is I have to wait to get back on throttle, and we're going to lose a few tenths there. Now we're going to start unraveling the steering wheel pretty quickly. What we want to do is stay about mid-track here. That way we can kind of clip the apex in this first corner, clip the apex in the second corner, as much of a straight line as we can, the least steering angle. Then we're just going to kind of carry this straight through, pointed right at the start-finish line. If you guys want to race against this lap and see how you compare, I'll have a link in the description for the ghost files. And there's also, there should be a link up here on the top right that'll show you kind of how to use those ghost files, download them, get them installed in iRacing. It's pretty helpful. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all on track.